Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. We're just going to get into a article, and it just made me think today that Ophelia, talking to Sky and the Times and many other tabloid articles, and then her basically technically statement that went out to the world, it basically, for me, sent down a marker that, looking back now, that Ayub and Rocky were allowed to go home and Brad and Lucy didn't have their phones confiscated or got arrested, and they were also allowed to go with the narrative of talking to online news articles and Sky News and the BBC and whatnot, ITV, and put their story across as well. Is that basically Jay just walked, off-road and, basically ended up in a ditch, which was unbelievable. And me listening to the story, at first I thought, what the hell's going on here? And it's like anything, when you actually start looking into cases and things, you actually think, there's more to this case than actually meets the eye. So, the owner of remote Airbnb, where Jay Slater spent his final hours, saw a teenager walking normally up the hillside before going missing. So, basically, Ophelia stated that he was just fine walking up, no stress, no pressure. And hadn't he been to a rave a few hours before and have gotten much kip and nothing to eat or drink as he rang or was in contact Lucy a bit later that morning? It just doesn't make sense to me. So it goes on to say the owner of the remote Airbnb where missing teenage Jay Slater spent his final hours has revealed she saw the youngster walking normally only hours before he vanished. Mr. Slater from Lancashire disappeared after an attempt to walk back to his accommodation after missing a bus. The 19-year-old had been unaccounted for ever since Monday morning, with his last phone call being to his friend Lucy Law, 18, around 8 a.m. His last phone signal being traced to a vast mountainous region around half a mile north of Masca. Ophelia, the owner of the holiday rental Casa Abulatina, where Mr. Slater is understood to have stayed with two acquaintances, voiced her worries about the teen after spotting him walking along down the hills on Monday. She said that it's dangerous walking around here. It's easy to lose yourself. He walked up the road when I saw him for the last time. So that was her story. And for me, personally, listen to that. That was the actual glue in that Ayub and Rocky were free to go and they flew home the next day, even though Ayub supposedly has got his own pad in Tenerife and lives there. And obviously Rocky was able to go as well. And then Brad and Lucy were able to give their interviews of what may have happened to Jay, and their phones were never took off them. Ayub's and Rocky's phones were never took off them, and no one else basically came forward and said that they know what happened to Jay. And don't forget, I think there was another lad early on in the case that was holidaying with Brandon and Jay. Never heard much from him. And also there was a girl, I think it may have been Brandon's sister, I think, not a dicky bird from her. And she said to know Ayub as well. There's so many unanswered questions in this case. And obviously Ayub and Rocky doing live shows on TikTok and other platforms in basically saying that they, will put some information and get Brandon in as well, which they never did. And I think it was just they thought it was just going to go away and people were actually going to stop talking about it. I mean, I think my main point of this video today is to put out there, I think Ophelia's interview was the one that police, the Guardia Civil, saw it as credible and believable, that basically she saw Jay twice and that was enough for them to say, look, this boy has had an accident. And we mustn't forget that basically she's related to Roman, and obviously we know that Roman has got a bent past, you know, of conspiracy and many other things as well, and I don't think he's a very, very honest character. And the scenario goes that Jay was last seen with, you know, an ex-drug dealer, Ayub, who done 9 years, and Rocky, he's not much better either, his previous. And then Lucy, not coming out after the interview she gave to say anything else about Jay. If you were true friends, wouldn't you be fighting tooth and nail to find out what happened? And Brandon, supposed to be really good mates with Jay, not said a dicky bird, and his mum said that he's actually liaising with the police. And I just think that was just a bit of chat to keep people off his back. And I think these people confidently think that they've got away with something in a cover-up they could only get away with in Tenerife due to their connections. Will we ever know the truth? I'm not so sure. I hope some evidence do come up on some people actually do talk. I think a lot of people have actually slipped up if their interviews, their time spans of what actually happened with Lucy and Brad. Brandon not saying anything. Ayub and Rocky slipping up on their lives. And we've just got to hope that something comes in pretty soon. I'm going to move on to part 2 now. Part 2, so we move on to Ayub cuisine. What I do think is, at the end of the day, I don't think, in my mind, looking at the case, that Ayub actually did anything to Jay. But what I think, him being the last person apparently to see Jay, he knows the scenario of what happened to him, whether he handed him to someone else. But he definitely knows as much as Lucy, Brad and Brandon what actually happened to him. But I don't think he could ever be truthful because of the game he's in. And I think if he did say anything, it would exploit a lot of people up the chain and the game he's in.
Yeah, did you know the group of friends? Of course I did. Like, how else would I be around, like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean?
And we mustn't forget, Lucy said that she didn't know Ayub at the time or where the Airbnb was. But a lot of people have been basically saying that Roman knows Lucy of late, and Lucy is well known on the island. And we know that Ayub and Lucy are well connected.
Like, we was doing our own things, by the way. Like, we weren't out together because I don't listen to like that music that they were playing in our NRG. Do you know what I mean? It's not my thing. We went somewhere else. We went to the AU, you know, Charlie Sloth's gaff and Big Nasty. Big them up as well, doing good stuff.
That's fair enough. In what he said, he was probably legit in him actually saying that. But I do think he ended up at the NRG festival, and I do think Lucy knew the cue or got him to come there for reasons why we think was basically to move Jay. I think I really do think that, to be honest with you. Am I sure that 100% sure that Jay was meant to die? No, I don't think so, but I do think that he was probably stabbed. I think and then his injuries got worse, and that was one of the reasons why they had to get rid of you. That, to me, seems a theory of a lot of people would actually sort of go down that road as well. I know sometimes the boat seems far-fetched, a lot of people thinking that and not believing it now, but ask yourself a question. Why haven't those boat owners actually come out and talk to the tabloid? Why is that? If that was my boat and it was definitely not used, I would come out and say something. I find that a bit suspicious at the end of the day, because like I said, they've had enough time to actually come out and say, look, this boat is nothing to do with me. Well, prove it. Do you know what I mean? That was, one of the questions, I would have for them. So obviously this case still is quite a mystery. And so, we've got basically 4 people, Ophelia, Brad, Lucy and Ayep, putting in there. Don't forget, Ayep only came out because he was going to be called out by MWT, so he had to say something, lest we would never known who he was. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment, and I'm just going to leave it at this. I do really, really think that Ophelia's interview was very, very crucial into the dynamics of this case, because like I said, I think if she wasn't there and it was nothing to do with Roman, I think we would definitely be looking at criminality case and arrests, because of what she says and the power Roman has got in that era. It was always going to go one way, and it makes me think, have they done this before, these people? Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Thank you very much wherever you are in the world.